Hey guys, it's Soda here and welcome back to another video. Someone's very happy today, aren't you, big man? You're a big man. Really? Oh, okay. Today I'm going to be answering some pet-related questions. I asked you guys to give me some pet-related questions on the community tab, and I'm going to be answering them today. I get a lot of questions asked to me like over and over again, so I thought it'd be a good idea just to make a video where I can answer some frequently asked questions from you guys. And the birds are out. Yuki's in a very talkative mood at the moment. He likes being in front of the camera, so... Pretty boy! Pretty boy! Oh my goodness. This is gonna be fun. One of the most common questions that I do get asked a lot on a lot of my videos is how I deal with having birds, as well as like my anime figure collection, because it's right beside my bird cage, and people always are like, oh, be careful, they're gonna destroy your figures. Even like when I first got Yuki, everyone was telling me to move the figures because the birds will destroy them. But actually, my birds don't touch my anime figures at all. They never go near them. I don't know if I just got lucky and my birds don't care about my anime figures, but they just don't. On like the rare occasion where I've seen one of the birds like going close to the anime figures, I just move them away. It's not that hard. I don't really know why I get a lot of comments about that, but the only thing is that my anime figures do get covered in like bird dust, because cockatiels are very dusty birds, so they leave this kind of layer of like bird dust everywhere. So I do have to dust my anime figures kind of often, but that's about it. It's not really too bad. I definitely will one day get a glass case for my anime figures. Another question I get commonly asked is what I do about the birds pooping everywhere. Basically, the secret to that is you let them poop everywhere. You can't really stop a bird from pooping. They poop every like 10 to 15 minutes. That's just what they do. I mean, I've heard of people training their birds to poop in certain areas, like pooping in their cage only. I don't know how easy it is to do that, and I don't really care. I don't really mind just cleaning up their poop. It's very easy. Their poop is very small, thankfully. You know, bird poop has never grossed me out, so to me it's very easy to clean it. The annoying thing is when they poop on my keyboard. Yuki really likes my keyboard, so he will often poop on that. That is a bit of a pain to clean up. It's just poop. It's just part of owning birds. That's why you always have wet wipes, the best way to get rid of bird poop. Are you ever considering getting rabbits or guinea pigs? I talked about this a bit in my pets I don't want to own video. I've never really considered getting rabbits and guinea pigs, and I don't think I ever would. I mean, that could change in the future. I know my boyfriend really likes rabbits, so rabbits could be an option very later on once I have my own house. I would probably rather have rats than rabbits and guinea pigs. Yeah, I do love them. It's just not something that I'm, you know, thinking of owning soon. How was it a good fish you got from Trade Me doing? I do get asked this a lot too, even though I've talked about this in other videos. But yes, they're doing great. They're in this tank behind me. You can see one of them. Yeah, they seem really happy. One of them is actually turning like gold. They both used to be white, and now one of them is, oh my gosh, one of them is turning like orange, which is really cool. So yeah, they seem really happy, and I'm really glad that I rescued them because they're living their best life in that big tank over there. And it's nice to be able to give them some friends too. Does Tofu love Yuki? Do they like to sing together? Do they ever fight? Yes, Tofu and Yuki get along very well. They are both boys. Thankfully, they seem to really like each other. The thing is, Tofu is a lot less tame than Yuki is because Tofu is a rescue. So Yuki is very close to me and comfortable with me, and Tofu likes to kind of watch him. Like as you saw before, Tofu was sitting on my chair while Yuki was sitting on me, and Tofu also likes to sit on my head. But Tofu isn't very comfortable with me touching him too much, so he just kind of watches, but he loves to follow Yuki around. They always are like in the same areas. It's really cute. And yes, Tofu has learned all of Yuki's songs, so now they sing together and it's so adorable. Tofu never really used to sing any songs, so now that he lives with another boy that also loves to sing, he has learned all of those songs. It's really cute. Sorry if you can hear the airport vibe, by the way, it's because the birds are flying around, so that starts to get a bit loud. And no, they've never fought before. I don't think it's very common for cockatiels to actually fight each other. Usually there's a reason to why cockatiels fight, like they're in a too small of a cage, or they're fighting over something like food or something like that. Usually they get along very well with other cockatiels, so They've never fought before, thankfully. You know, I was a bit worried about that because Tofu is, you know, a bit different to Yuki, but no, that's never happened before, which is really good. None of my cockatiels have ever fought before, so. Also, Ren doesn't get along well with everyone too. The thing with Ren is she doesn't really go close to me, so she's not often like seen in my videos because she's up high somewhere, like just sitting there. She's very, very shy, so there has been times when she lets me like scratch her little head, but that's very rare when she does that because she's extremely shy. But she does get along well with everyone. She lets Tofu preen her, which is really cute. Sometimes Tofu and Ren get a little freaky with each other, so that's interesting. And then Yuki just watches them. And anyways, let's move on. How did you get your dog to get along with your birds? I want to get a dog, but I'm scared to death that the dog will eat my birds. I'm not really sure what you mean because my dog does not really get along with my birds. I don't put them in the same room together ever because dogs are predator animals, birds are prey animals. They're not supposed to go together, so I've never put them together before. I don't ever plan to put them together, and I don't recommend you ever do that because there's a huge risk involved. I only let the dogs in here when the birds are in their cage and vice versa. So no, they don't get along because I never put them together, and I never will because I don't want anything to happen to my birds. You know, there has been rare occasions you might see online of like a dog and a bird getting along together. It's still very risky, and I still don't recommend it. You know, it's just, they're totally different animals. They can't naturally communicate with each other, so it's just not natural, and it's just very risky. How old are your cockatiels, and where did you get them? So Yuki must be about a year and almost a half old, I'd say. Yeah, he's probably a year and a half old. Same with Ren, they were born very similar times. Yuki and Ren are both from a breeder here in Christchurch who hand raises cockatiels. So they are both hand raised, even though they're very different. As for Tofu, Tofu was actually given to my boyfriend for free because the original owner did not want him anymore. So yeah, we got Tofu for free. Tofu was very chaotic when my boyfriend first got him. He was very bitey. He would attack your fingers and bite really hard, and he would scream. The previous owner had very young kids, which we think that maybe the kids tried to like grab him all the time and stuff because he was terrified of hands. But now Tofu is a much better behaved bird. He still has his moments, and he still has weird obsession with mirror things because he used to have a mirror in his previous owner's cage, which mirrors are very bad for birds. They can cause a lot of behavioral issues, and unfortunately he does have an issue with mirrors. Obviously we don't keep any mirrors in the bird cage, but if he sees anything that has a reflection in it, he will obsess over it. Even like the locks on the cage, because they're reflective, he can see his reflection in it, so he sometimes obsesses over those, which is really sad, and shows you what a big impact mirror toys can make and why they should not be sold as bird toys because they're actually very harmful. But he's actually getting over that, and he's getting a lot better, so I'm very proud of that little guy. Also, I think Tofu is about 4 years old now, 3 or 4? He is a bit older than the other two, so. Mostly this is questions about my birds. People love the birds, so I guess this is kind of more like a bird Q&A. When are you posting cockatiel care? I've already done it. Go watch it. Okay, I got a lot of questions asking me how much money I spend on like animal food, how much I spend a week or a month and stuff like that. The thing is, I don't really keep track of that, to be quite honest, so I'm just gonna kind of guess. But I don't really spend as much as you might think because I buy pretty much all my animal food in like big amounts. So for birds, I buy huge bags of pellets and seed, and that will last me like months, so I don't often have to buy new food for them. For vegetables, I get vegetables from my parents' garden. Mice, same thing. I buy big packs of mouse food like every few months. Dogs, I buy like a big pack of dog food every month. Fish food lasts like months as well. I just buy a lot of bloodworms at one time, or a lot of whatever I'm gonna feed them, you know. It doesn't cost me that much money. If you buy things in bulk, which will cost more at the time, you end up saving a lot of money. So yeah, I don't really know what to say to that because I don't really know how much I spend in a month because it just depends. There's not an exact amount, you know. Obviously I still buy like new toys for them probably every month for all my animals, so it just totally depends. Are you planning on getting another mouse? This is another question I've been asked a lot. So in case you didn't know, my mouse Cornflake passed away recently a few weeks ago, so I just have 2 female mice now, and honestly I don't know. Cornflake passing away was really sudden and heartbreaking, and the girls are over a year old now, so they don't have much longer either, so it's really hard, you know. I don't know if I want to keep having mice just because of their short lifespans. Obviously I don't want one of my girls to pass away and then one be alone, so I'm not sure what I'll do when that happens. I don't know. It's hard to own small animals that don't have long lifespans, and I don't really know if I'm gonna be able to handle that, to be honest. So who knows? What is your process of cleaning those huge fish tanks? And did any of your birds ever break a blood feather while in your care? And if they did, how did you go about handling it? Cleaning fish tanks is probably like the easiest thing to do, honestly. It's like the easiest enclosure I have to clean. It takes like a long time, especially when you have multiple tanks, but it's fairly easy. There's not really much difference in cleaning a big tank than there is cleaning a small tank. In fact, cleaning big tanks is actually easier. I just use a siphon to change the water. I scrub any algae off if there's any in there. Add fresh water, add prime, you know, check the parameters if something is off, and yeah, clean the filter like every month or every 2 months. With the blood feather question, I have had Yuki break a blood feather a couple of times. When I first got Yuki, he was very clumsy for like quite a while. Cockatiels can be known for being quite clumsy a lot of the time when they're young. He had a lot of night frights when I first got him, which is what birds can get, where they just, something scares them at night and they just, you know, flap around like crazy in their cage, and often they can hurt themselves doing that, so it's quite scary. I do sleep in the same room as my bird, so if I hear them having a night fright, I quickly turn my light on, make sure they're okay. It doesn't happen as much anymore, but it used to happen a lot with Yuki. And yes, a couple times he did break a blood feather. In case you don't know, birds, when they're molting, they often can accidentally break blood feathers, which can bleed a lot, and if left untreated can sometimes, not often, but sometimes they can bleed so much that they die because they don't have a lot of blood. It's not super common for that to happen, but it's still a possibility, so it's a wee bit scary. I was already aware of what blood feathers were when Yuki first got his one, but I still was kind of like freaking out about it and was like really worried. So I did take him to the vet to get it removed, because that's the best thing you can do, is remove it so it stops bleeding, because it's best to remove them. If you leave them, sometimes they can hurt it even more. Second time it happened, I put like flour on the feather to make it stop bleeding, but then he broke it like again, so I got my dad to remove it for me. But yeah, it happens to like every bird owner. But yeah, it's always a bit of a scare when your bird is like bleeding. If that happens to you and you're worried, put some flour on their wound, maybe take them to the vet to get them to remove the blood feather, or you can carefully do it yourself, but I'm always a bit scared of doing it myself, so I get my dad to do it. Would you ever get another dog in the future? If so, what breed? I'd definitely love to get another dog one day. It probably would be a while away when I have my own house, but I would say I definitely would, because I love dogs. I'd probably like to get another long-haired Chihuahua because I love Chihuahuas. I would love to get a rescue one day. There's a really good Chihuahua rescue in my area that I've been following for a long time, so in the future one day it would be nice to get a little rescue Chihuahua. I think that would be pretty cool. Anyways guys, I'm gonna end this video here. Obviously I couldn't answer every question, but thanks for watching this video. Thanks for giving me some questions to answer. I'll see you guys in the next video.